When colleges read applications, they're usually looking at three main things: the transcript, test scores, and personal profile, which includes things like your essay, teacher recommendations, demonstrated interest, and other non-quantitative aspects of an applicant. The most important of these is the high school transcript. To colleges, this is the best predictor of how you'll do academically at their school. Colleges here are mainly looking at three things: grades, grade trends, and rigor. Grades speak for themselves. The better your grades, the more colleges will like it. Likewise, the more rigorous your coursework, the better they'll assume you can handle academic rigor in college. Rigor is determined by looking at what courses you take relative to what was available to you. If your school has AP courses, for example, colleges would like you to take some AP courses if possible. If your school doesn't have APs, though, colleges wouldn't expect you to take them and won't hold it against you. But they're not just looking at grades and the rigor of your coursework, they're also keeping an eye out for any grade trends. Grade trends mean that there's either an upward or downward pattern to the grades. Since your more recent grades are generally considered a better indicator to a school of where you're at academically and what you're likely to do in college, an upward trajectory is more desirable. Colleges will also notice if the grades on the transcript fluctuate randomly. All of these are part of the assessment. If you have some particular reason or explanation why a particular grade or period of time isn't what you wanted it to be, you should feel free to explain the circumstances to each college by including a short note with your application, and perhaps even have a teacher or a counselor write a supporting note to back you up. Here's the key. Take the most rigorous curriculum available to you that you can still do well in. With respect to college admissions, it does you no good to take a highly rigorous curriculum but get C's or lower. In this case, the extra rigor won't outweigh those lower grades. But if advanced, honors, or AP coursework is available at your school and you think you can do reasonably well in it, you should definitely take it. You'll maximize your learning and growth, and colleges will really appreciate it, thereby maximizing your chances of admission. With a bit of variance school to school, the transcript generally accounts for about 50% of the assessment. The second broad assessment category after academics is standardized testing. Test scores simply refer to your SAT or ACT and your SAT subject tests if they're required. A growing number of selective schools are test optional, meaning you can submit scores if you have them, but you're not required to. There are now over 800 test optional schools, so if you really struggle with testing, this is something to keep in mind. The higher your score, the better, of course, and you should do at least some type of preparation. If you check out this site's unit on standardized tests, you can learn a lot more. Though variable school to school, test scores generally account for about 25 to 35% of the assessment. Last but not least is what we'll call the personal profile. The personal profile aspect of your applications includes things like recommendation letters, your essays, activities, and other intangibles. Most colleges are looking for people on their campuses who will contribute to the community, not just numbers or machines that crank out academic work. So this section is valuable as well. The personal profile portion generally accounts for about 25% of the assessment, though this too does vary somewhat by school. It's important to know that when colleges read your application, they're assessing you in context. This means that they want to take into account all the aspects of your environment. This applies not only to academics, but to family context, socioeconomic background, extenuating circumstances, and so forth. They want applicants to take advantage of what's available to them, but at the same time, don't want to penalize applicants by expecting what's not available. So, to summarize, colleges assess three main things when reading your application: your transcript, test scores, and your personal profile. How much each of these is weighted varies from school to school. You should take the most rigorous curriculum available to you that you can still do well in, do your best on tests if they're required, and know what colleges are assessing you in context.